The Erased Memories. Dr. Evelyn Carter sat in her dimly lit laboratory, her fingers trembling with excitement as she typed the final lines of her research paper. For years, she had dedicated her life to understanding the human brain, and now she was on the brink of a breakthrough. She had discovered a way to erase specific memories from the human mind. It was a revolutionary concept that promised to alleviate the suffering of countless people haunted by their past. In the picturesque town of Maplewood, the news of Dr. Carter's invention spread like wildfire. The townsfolk were divided. Some were eager to forget their painful experiences, while others were skeptical about tampering with the mind. Among the skeptics was a young couple, Claire and Daniel. Claire and Daniel had been inseparable since high school. Their love story was the stuff of romantic films, full of passion, laughter, and dreams of a future together. However, their relationship had hit a rough patch after a tragic accident claimed the life of their only child. The pain was unbearable, and the memories of that fateful day haunted them both. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an eerie glow over the town, Claire found herself standing outside Dr. Carter's laboratory. Her curiosity had gotten the better of her. She pushed open the door and stepped inside, the faint smell of chemicals and antiseptic filling her nostrils. "Dr. Carter?" Claire called out, her voice echoing through the empty corridors. The scientist emerged from a side room, her eyes lighting up with recognition. "Ah, Claire. I've been expecting you." Claire frowned. "How did you know I would come?" Dr. Carter smiled mysteriously. "People with deep pain often seek answers. Come, let's talk." Claire followed Dr. Carter into her office, where she explained the procedure in detail. It was simple, a series of sessions where targeted memories would be erased, leaving the rest of the mind intact. The process was painless, and the results were permanent. Desperate for relief, Claire agreed to undergo the treatment. She didn't tell Daniel, fearing he would disapprove. Over the next few weeks, she visited Dr. Carter regularly, each session erasing more of the painful memories associated with their child's death. At first, Claire felt a sense of relief. The weight of grief began to lift, and she started to smile again. But soon, strange things began to happen. She would wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, with no recollection of her dreams. Objects in her house seemed to move on their own, and she often felt a cold, invisible presence watching her. One evening, as Claire sat alone in her living room, the lights flickered, and the temperature dropped. She heard a whisper, faint but unmistakable. "Mommy." Claire's heart raced as she looked around, but there was no one there. The voice had sounded like her child's, but that was impossible. The memories of her child were gone, erased by Dr. Carter's procedure. Or were they? Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, Claire confronted Dr. Carter. The scientist's calm demeanor began to crack under Claire's persistent questioning. "Something's wrong, Dr. Carter. I hear my child's voice. I feel a presence. What did you do to me?" Dr. Carter's eyes darted around the room nervously. "I didn't anticipate this. When you erase a memory, it creates a void. Nature abhors a vacuum, Claire. Sometimes, that void is filled with something else." Claire's blood ran cold. "Something else?" What do you mean? Dr. Carter hesitated before answering. There are forces we don't fully understand. When you tamper with the mind, you open a door. And sometimes, things come through that door, things that shouldn't be here. Terrified, Claire rushed home to find Daniel waiting for her. She broke down and told him everything. As she spoke, the temperature in the room dropped again, and the lights flickered ominously. Daniel held Claire tightly. We'll get through this together. We'll figure out a way to fix this. That night, they both woke to the sound of their child's laughter echoing through the house. They followed the sound to the nursery, which had remained untouched since the accident. The air grew colder, and their breath fogged in front of them. Standing in the middle of the room was a shadowy figure, small and childlike. Claire's heart ached as she recognized the figure of their lost child. "Mommy?" "Daddy," the figure whispered, its voice filled with sorrow. Claire and Daniel reached out, but their hands passed through the apparition. Tears streamed down their faces as they realized the truth. The erasure of memories had disrupted the natural order, and their child's spirit was trapped, unable to move on. Desperate to set things right, Claire and Daniel returned to Dr. Carter, begging her to reverse the procedure. The scientist agreed, but warned that the process was risky and could cause more harm than good. With no other choice, Claire underwent the reversal. As the memories flooded back, the pain was overwhelming, but she welcomed it. She needed to remember. She needed to set her child's spirit free. In the days that followed, the eerie occurrences ceased. The cold spots, the flickering lights, and the whispers all vanished. Claire and Daniel stood by their child's grave, holding each other tightly. "I'm sorry," Claire whispered. "I should have never tried to forget." Daniel kissed her forehead. "We have to live with our memories, Claire. The good and the bad. It's what makes us human." As they walked away from the grave, hand in hand, they felt a sense of peace. Their love, though tested by tragedy, had endured. And they knew that their child's spirit was finally at rest. In the heart of Maplewood, the legend of Dr. Carter's memory erasing procedure became a cautionary tale. The townsfolk learned that some things are better left remembered, no matter how painful. For in the end, our memories define us, and to erase them is to erase a part of our very souls.